I will be broadcasting all day today, which is Thursday, February the 12th, 2026. I will be broadcasting all day via all of my various different platforms because today is the day about raising money, but it's also the day about raising awareness and continuing to put out there what has been done to me and my son and what is being done to me and my son. Okay, my son is an adult, high functioning, disabled, autistic that corruption want their nasty hands on. Okay, corruption being programs, individuals, you name it. And they are attempting to separate my son and me, but they have been doing this for a very long time. My son and I escaped a cult, okay? And we escaped it. I can't really say all together. We escaped an entrapment, a cult situation in Southeast Texas, Beaumont, Texas specifically, Delta Manor, even more specifically. The individuals of Delta Manor were involved. 80% of Delta Manor's residents and their staff are guilty and were participating in this organized stalking and harassment of my son and me. While in this cult, my son and I were being poisoned. We were not a part of the cult, but we were targets of the cult. We were being poisoned via individuals illegally entering the premises, putting substances in his premises, in the food, and various items, via the restaurants and connections that they have, via DoorDashers and Walmart shoppers. We repetitively, and I have proof and data, pictures, videos, you name it. We were repetitively getting ill and strange things happening, and we are not people who typically just get ill. We live a simple life. We don't bother people. We don't participate in recreational drugs and alcohol. We do not smoke cigarettes. We don't party. We don't riffraff. We don't run the street. We don't do any of those things. We lived a simple life. We were targets. We are targets of weirdos. Okay. I attempted, and I have proof and data up the ass of everything that I attempted to do to resolve the situation in a more planned and streamlined, ideal manner. To no avail. No one wants to abruptly just leave somewhere if they don't have to. So for me and my son to do that, that's because we were escaping for our life. When you realize that problems are increasing instead of getting better, and you're talking to one program so-called case manager after the next. You're talking to one so-called program authority figure, lawyer, advocate, and they're all incompetent. They're all scripted. Most of them just clueless as fuck. Some of them are in on it. So when you realize this, you don't get the luxury of planning something out for 6 months to a year, stacking up your chips and all of those nice little tidy, clean, and ideal ways to do something. You don't want to put yourself in further harm's way, but you also know that if you stay, it's kind of like in the movies. You try to escape the killer, right? But you ain't got nothing. What you gonna do? You know that it's a long shot. It's Russian roulette. But are you going to stand there where you know that you are certainly going to get your ass killed, or are you going to get your ass up? Where you know emphatically that it's been compromised, where you know as a matter of fact, I'm going to say it again, as a matter of fact, that the authorities are corrupt and that they are allowing people in that area to compromise dwelling place to put you all in a compromising state, throwing shit out of windows, putting shit in dwellings, putting shit, you know what I'm saying? Where you know emphatically, are you going to stay? Where your kid is getting sick constantly, waking up sick, looking like they're dead. Where you know emphatically, are you going to stay and hopefully wait that you can maybe plan? They're not going to let you plan. They're sabotaging you 24/7. They're here. I already caught several. Who are they talking to? Like I told y'all, most humans are purchased. Who are they talking to? Are they talking to Inland Regional Center? That was a mistake. I just want to put that out there for the record. That was a mistake. Big one. Going around lying, whatever they're doing, basically. Trying to get their grubby little hands, trying to separate, instead of trying to honor families that are survivors of cults and trauma, just looking for some way, because they're meal tickets to these companies. People like my son. And the only problem is if they have a pesky caretaker or mother or father who ain't gonna go for the okie doke. So from there, project is to attempt to destabilize that parent so that that parent is not even in a position to help them, so that the parent's hand is forced. I'm going to be broadcasting all day. I am raising money. I am not one that really advocates for doing a lot of that, but this is the predicament we've been, I'm going to say, coerced into via cult abuse and stalking where we were. It was not an ideal decision, but it was getting progressively worse. I couldn't take my son. See, people look on the surface and go, well, they had, some of the things y'all are saying right now are some of the cult members, by the way. Not all of them, but I can identify them. Now, the cult members or fusion center, I've already seen several in California, which lets me know it's deeper as I suspected. Now, Texas are out. But it still lets me know, again, that this was deeper. This has been the problem. This has been the issue. There's some kind of weird, corrupt shit going on with Masons and I don't know. So I have to do what I have to do. And I'm attempting to reach out to people who got discernment and a heart. I don't care about folks who don't. If people have an issue with me, they can keep the issue they have with me. Okay? Because my son or myself haven't done nothing to anybody. We exist, but we certainly haven't done nothing to nobody. These are a bunch of greedy, fat cat, pretentious, highfalutin, fake that gets their rocks off of torturing people. So they're narcissists and sadists. And I really can care less if they don't have a diagnosis. These phenomenons and issues existed long before we had DSM-5. So I could really care less about all that shit. It's about conduct. If they're getting off on watching somebody that didn't do nothing to them, they just don't like them. Whether it's, oh, we don't like them. We don't like them. We're Christian, they're not Christian. We're Protestant and they're Jehovah's Witness. I'm just throwing some different shit out there that gets people willing to rally themselves and to get involved in some insidious shit. I don't like their race. It's not PC to say anymore, but that's what the real truth is, because it's ignorance for us to believe. It's ignorance, it's naivete, it's gullible for us to really think that just because it's 2026 and just because certain laws won't permit an obvious outright display, it's ignorance to think that it's not happening in a covert way. In other words, people using their positions of power, resource, and authority, and then exploiting people's vulnerable positions to vomit abuse. That is what me and my son are a victim of. He is an adult disabled who certainly did not and does not deserve to be somebody's entertainment. We are certainly not deserving of being somebody's come up to fame. I am embarrassed for my culture, and I'm going to possibly die embarrassed for my culture. I am. When I'm finished here, I'm embarrassed. I'm embarrassed in the name of ancestors who transcended the bullshit. I'm appalled and embarrassed as we wave our tails and kill one another so that the man can give us what's ours to fucking begin with. I'm embarrassed how easily we bow for a bowl of beans. How easily we hurt innocent life. Because see, for me, this has nothing to do with religiosity. That's just labels used to pin people against each other. It has everything to do with behavior and conduct. What's been done and is being done to me and my son is inhumane, and it violates our human and civil rights. People are committing federal crimes as I speak, as they follow me. Yeah. So they can pay their rent and keep little Pookie and Shaquitas and you know, Pedro and anybody else, you know what I'm saying? Meredith, because I'm going to hit all nations, because this is not biased or discriminative to any culture. I am raising money. Me and my son will be homeless. His family don't care. Neither does mine. They never did. Most of them have been a part of it. I didn't say all, so y'all can get your chonies out the bunch, because that'll be assuming and gullible of me. I didn't say they all are. I don't know that. I just know majority. The ones that we held near and dear to our hearts once upon a time are involved. I've been made to look to be somebody who is fickle. This is all intentional. This is design. To look like someone who's fickle. who's sensitive, jumpy. No, it's abuse. It's life being violated constantly. That's a difference. There's a difference between a scatterbrained fickle and somebody who's being abused and having to constantly adjust because of it, whose hand is being forced to make moves to survive that puts them in positions. I hate that I had to do this. I'm not one that enjoys just moving all the time. Me and my son were stabilized in California to a degree for most of his childhood. And it was a mistake of a lifetime to ever trust and believe that family was going to be anything other than what they always was. Or should I say, those we grew up with. See, we don't want to swallow that in our cultures that we have a lot of secret darkness. Nobody don't want to deal with that. It's too ugly. It's too uncomfortable. It takes away the nice, polished image that we want to uphold about our origins. And that's convenient for every other family member that's not the ones under the fire, that's not the target, that's not suffering at the brunt of the dysfunctionality in the same magnitude. So it's easy for them. Yeah, we'd rather be you than us. We'd rather be you and your kid than us and ours. So just pray about it. Just give it over to God. Those are the people who say that because it ain't them needing to give it over to God. They're not being harassed and poisoned and followed around like they're famous without the spiffs, bitch. You know what I mean? Because if I was Jay-Z and Beyonce, a bitch would have her, a big ass nigga, walking about maybe 3 feet, 6 feet behind me, ready to be a sniper and take motherfuckers out in a New York minute. Huh? That's a different vibe, ain't it? Huh? And it also terrifies the fuck out of people. So it'll make these motherfuckers think twice, huh? About what the fuck what they doing. They'll take their little happy ass and their little Tesla on home. Huh? You see what I'm talking about? See, when you're famous, it's annoying, but they prepare you for it and you have compensation for that intrusion and harassment. And you have a higher level of security to where ain't no rando just walking the fuck up in your dwellings, putting cat shit in your drinks or, you know what I'm saying, tampering. Because you are famous. So there's the comfort of that. Now, I will admit there are some famous people who end up, I'll admit this, just to be fair. I know that there are famous people who end up really not knowing who they can trust and believe because, the whole adage of you got money, you know what I'm saying? You just, because people be loving you, kissing your ass, blowing smoke up your bum. You know what I'm saying? Because they get a benefit from you. Whether it is you're going to connect them to a connect you got that's going to hook them up, whoop, And so you don't know how legit somebody's friendship or, love for you really, 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 really is, especially when you have money like that. So famous people do have to maybe deal with the idea that they may be betrayed at any moment, because if somebody come in with a big enough offer, they'll sell them. You know what I'm saying? They'll come in and say, hey, boom, you know what I'm saying? Could you give me the lowdown on whoop? Give me the lowdown on oh boy, blah, 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 we'll, it's like, we'll pay you, And if they were secretly jealous of this famous person or they felt some kind of way, yeah, they might sell them out. This is how a lot of this shit happened to a lot of them. Just to be frank, it was an inside job. It always is, isn't it? It's always an inside job. It's the motherfucker that was smiling at you, that was opening up the car for you, bitch. The door, bitch. That took your kid, little John, to the soccer game. Betrayer, Judas. The world is full of Judases. Full of Judases. Because people don't realize that they're programmed. They don't realize they're scripted. They don't realize that they're misinformed. They don't realize, because some people are just, they're misinformed. They're misinformed. They're being lied to. You know? My son and I are not criminals. We're not fugitives. I'm not a trained assassin. I don't have training in military combat. I don't have no training in military combat. I'm just thinking of everything. I'm not a prostitute. I'm thinking of any and every possible sly spin that these sorry fucks are going around telling people. With their fake profile folders and shit. If you're someone who stumbles across my videos today, I will be broadcasting all day via all of my various platforms. Today is dedicated. I have Cash App. I'm utilizing Cash App because it's the simplest, fastest, and easiest. I also have PayPal, but Cash App is real easy. So I am not one. What I am asking for is people to use their own discernment, their own judgment, their own heart, their own. And if there's questions, then I'm asking people to have the balls to actually ask me. Because a lot of what has happened is a whole lot of people listening to a whole lot of people and yet failing to come directly to me. Failing to come and ask me questions about who I am, what I believe, my life, how this situation came to be. You know what I'm saying? What happened, why I left Cali to begin with, why I left Nevada. Like, people need to be adult enough and bold enough, because I don't have a problem. But the only issue I've come across is, are people really asking to really know, or are they asking to defend my abusers? That's where you may have a resistance from me. Because coming in to defend those who have been hurting my son and me is going to cost. Okay? I'm not interested. Some people don't know that they're spell casted upon. They don't know that they are brainwashed. They don't know, and it's okay. I just don't have, my priority is me and my son. We've been stolen from. People have stolen mail, money, you name it. Stalked by government, mail lady people. I saw the bitch following us around. Bitch, yo route, bitch. You done went a certain circle 2 times. Right here. It's weird. I'm just saying, and I've recorded. Listen, you all, I got data. I'm saying that for a reason. I have data. Because anything could be a fluke. I'm more practical than I'm given credit for. I'm more grounded than I'm given credit for, too. Anything could be a fluke. But I'm telling you that this thing increased as of March of last year. And then it increased even further as of May, because somebody lost their job. It was like somebody caused me to lose mine, and then someone else lost theirs. And when I say cause, I'm saying all of the factors that organized terrorism and harassment is about. Emotional, psychological warfare tactics, as well as tampering with physical things like technology, because that's a physical act. That's not I'm a head fuck you. No, those are physical acts, dear. That's physical. Okay. Tampering with somebody's dwelling space, that's a physical act. Entering to people's dwellings, so it's not going to look like there was a forced entry, huh? See, this is the stuff that I have to talk about. This means permission is being given by people who have access. And who have access to these places? Either the owners or their staff. Simple as that. Fast answer. It's gullible to think that all these people's staff is squeaky clean. It's gullible for any company, owner, if they themselves are not involved. It's ignorance, it's gullibility for them to just automatically believe their employers, their employees. That might be a costly one for some of them on the long haul. People have issues that they're not putting on their application when they apply for jobs, and that they're not discussing when they do these interviews. There are some people who are drunks and addicts. And I'm not saying this to be unkind or insensitive to somebody who is struggling with these addictions. I grew up around addicts, okay? I grew up with it. I know what it looks like. I was married to it. You name it. I dated people. You know what I'm saying? I get it. I'm only mentioning it because there's an assumption that because somebody has managed to get a stabilized job, that there's an assumption that they're upstairs, like all their emotional stuff and all the other stuff. It's an assumption that that's intact because they have a job and a car and a house. I was married to a high functioning addict. I don't even know if he's still alive, because last I spoke with him, it's been 1,000 years when we got divorced. And I'm only sharing this again. This is not about criticism and judgments. This is observation and to give context into who I am and what I've been exposed to. In other words, what I may have knowledge of that people don't think I have knowledge of. But also to point at how there's just this really flat naivete on a population scale, that because somebody, for all intensive purposes, on paper, they look good. I was married to a functioning addict that made really good money for the 90s, but hell, he made more money than some people are making in 2026. Now that's saying something, ain't it? Like that. Like that. So he made really good money. He was charismatic. Everybody loved him. That's usually a signature. Okay, highly charismatic. Everybody loved him wherever he went, wherever he did. This is something that you notice. Okay, got along with everybody in most cases because people could use them in some way, but I'm not going to get into that. And he took care of me and my son, and we had a pretty, on paper, we had a good life. We didn't want for nothing. Any money I had was mine. Okay. Aside of like my own income, my son's income, I worked, went to college, I did a few, it was mine. I didn't have to contribute. He didn't ask for me to contribute. I'm sharing this for a reason. He didn't want me to. He took care of all the household. He bought me few cars, I think. A few cars while we were together. I think, let me see, one, two, yeah. I think he got me like 2 or 3 cars. Yeah. Uh-huh. Modeled one of the homes we had, designed to my liking, and the inside, not the outer building. I'm talking about like the interior guts and shit like that. Uh-huh. He was a crackhead. Did you hear me? And again, I'm not saying this to be disrespectful and demeaning or judgy. I'm saying that you would, on the surface, I'm proving points. He was a crackhead. Major addiction issues. Major. Okay. They call those functional addicts, and they're like that. They can go for years that way until there's something kind of catastrophic that pushes them into the hole. You know what I'm saying? So they can go for a long time like that. And so during that time, to the world, they look like these ideal guys. Everybody loves them. He's getting promotions. He's, making money and stable and all of those things. Me and my son are targets and victims of what I want to call, I believe many of these people themselves are just that, functioning addicts. That's what I believe. I didn't say all of them. I believe that many of them are. The ones who, participated in the abuse, who didn't like me because I dated their ex and woo bitch and, I'm just saying. And then they have a problem. You see what I'm trying to say? Usually there's other issues with addictions. There's control issues. And I was targeted. That's what this was in Texas, for sure. My ex, one of my exes, I have to specify. One of my exes, and let me even rephrase that, whom I got to be careful now, because once the veil has been removed, you then want to just call shit in a different, you want to name shit different. But for simplicity, I'm just gonna say my ex, the only one that I actually dated in Texas, okay? Because in Texas, I didn't, there's one shit I wanted in the first place. Just to be honest, just to keep it on real status, which is why I was so comfortable at not giving a fuck, because when you're somewhere that you ain't, yeah, they swarming. It's just another day. This is a standard Thursday when I'm outside. Okay, that's what that is. Now, he's the only one that I dated. He was a honeypot. Okay? I'm just keeping it on the 100. He was a honeypot. Honeypots come in many forms. They come as friends, they come as business people, seeming to want to help and care, and all of a sudden they they pull the switcheroo on you. Uh-huh. So when this thing came to an end 2 years ago, because it's been 2 years since we were dating, okay, we broke up in December of 2023. Wait, 2023. Oh, I can't get it together, bitch. I think it was 2023. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, 4 or 5, because we're just at the beginning of 26. Okay. And I gotta go clean my energy. I'll do that in a minute. I already know what they're doing. Back to what I'm saying. I'll be broadcasting all day with intermittent breaks, clear my energy, tend to my son, talk to resources. Okay, because I got like 1,000 calls, 1,000 notes, and all the things that you do when you're looking for resources. No? But when you're looking for resources, there is nothing that's streamlined. You called and bada bing, bada boom. Okay? And that's the whole thing. And that's what they're trying to keep me in. That's why I was sabotaged to begin with. And then they hire, people who are pregnant. They hire meth heads, ex-cons, people on the county, people who need money, struggling business people. This is how they do what they do. They go to these people and they dangle shit in their face. You want a Walmart gift card, you want your rent paid, you want your car note paid, or you want to have access to a car, a debt paid off, some kind of barter. They present to them some kind of a barter that, hell, if they're prejudiced and you happen to be the culture that they don't like, can you see why they'll hurry up and jump on that real fast? Or if they're a misogynist and you're a lady, I see it. The writing's on the wall. Now, like I said, the ex, the mother of one of his children is in property management. Coinky dinky. In the city of what? Beaumont. Okay. What do you discover about these small towns and places is that in small towns and places, typically, everyone knows everybody. Okay? I remember reporting something to one of my son's landlords when he was in Silsbee, Oakleaf Estates, which was involved. I remember reporting something or going to her, and I remember her saying something like, because I was talking about I contacted Silsbee, blah, 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 because I've contacted police in all of these various areas. And she said, oh, I know so-and-so over there, blah, blah, blah. Okay, see, I remember everything. And it helps me, though, because it points me at, and Eureka, people be knowing people in these places, especially small towns. So the mom of one of the children's mother, she's in management, property management. Everybody knows everybody. I get to Beaumont. And then people be dating police officers. There was a police officer that stayed in Delta Manor that moved several months back out of nowhere. I didn't know why, but they were an employee of Jefferson County Combustible. They were one that was stalking me. They were one that was caught swarming around me and being weird. They lived in, I want to say either building 5 or 6. And there's a link with an X, with that same X. The managers have links with each other. Which still links to an X. This is conflict of interest, but this is also why these people lie about it. These are all the same people that's been watching me on my social media, stealing, trying to take on my identity and all sorts of things. The one that lived above my son and all their little crew in building 6. The maintenance crew. My son was overcharged twice by the owners of Delta. So the reason why I say the owners is because when he applied for Abbey Court in Delta Manor the previous year, they charged him the fee that you would charge a regular applicant. When he finally got into Delta, he was charged the proper application fee, which is reduced for those who are going for affordable units. But the others didn't do that. They're all connected, though. I found that out. The one that was named Ashley, she mentioned her connection and friendship with Oakleaf Estates manager. See, eventually I said I'm gonna deal with this, and I am. We got co-members following me around right now. I'm being weird. I'm aware of it. Some of them are co-members. Some of them are simply Fusion Center employees. The co-members that follow around, they do their little weirdo shit. The Fusion Center employees, they just drive around and take notes. They drive around and drive in different weird ways as they're instructed to do and take notes. And for those that are walking, they get them to come out of their cars and they wear matching shirts. Fucking weird. Matching colors or something like that. Me and my son are victims. This is hideous. This is not make-believe. This is not made up. This is not an opinion. This is not me being extra. This is not me trying to get attention. This is not me in need of attention. This is not midlife crises. This is not menopause. This is not... I am some of those things in context, but that does not negate that this is happening, and it has happened. It is a factor of what is causing it. Program came out, and I wonder why, and what was the chances of someone that I worked with coming out. I put everything under the fire, under the gun, because when people, if and when people deal with me and my son with hidden dishonor, I put them on a special list. You don't fucking take advantage of me and my son's vulnerability and think I'm not going to have you dealt with one way or the other. No matter what kind of struggle I have to live and experience one way or the other, you don't think I ain't going to have you fucking dealt with. Don't come at me with that scripted bullshit. I got to get going here, but I will continue on. I got to check to see if I got any emails. The phone hasn't rang, so I got to look down my list of stuff and continue to reach out to folks who may have a heart. Let me and my son stay there for a week or two until I can figure some shit out for myself. I had to do what I had to do. How do you leave your home and people are going in your home, putting shit in there, and then your kid gets sick? You answer that question. How do you do it? Because next time it may not be you just got sick. See, people aren't thinking. They're sitting behind these computer screens. They're in these board meetings and all this stuff, and they're just clueless. They're clueless, they're ignorant, or they just don't care. If you are somebody that watches this and you're guided, my son and I could use all support. And every little bit counts. I think the Cash App link should be on my homepage somewhere. You can find it there. If you want to talk to me and you have questions and you come from a legit space, feel free. I don't bite. But I do sense, I do feel, and I do discern. Because a lot of what has happened is people are in connection with some of my abusers. And it's like they're secret, they're trying to make me doubt my reality. I know what me and my son have lived and experienced and what we're living and experiencing right now. And it's wrong. It's inhumane, it's cruel, it's insensitive, it's greedy, it's entitled. It goes against, I'm embarrassed for my culture, but I'm embarrassed for the country. I'm embarrassed for religion. I'm embarrassed for it all. Because these people got rosaries and crosses and Bibles, and some of these people, and yet they can look they sorry ass in the mirror every day like they ain't crazy and shit. That's spooky to me. It lets me know that the world is disconnected, that there's majority of the world is disconnected, because you have to be disconnected to get up and put on a cross and do the whole little spiel and go to church and do the whole little routine and get your Jesus t-shirt and do all these things and claim all what you claim, and yet participate in this kind of stuff. You have to be disconnected. One breath talking about God and the Most High, the next breath illegally stalking and harassing somebody. Those things don't align. Now, for the people, there are people who are not claiming religion and spirituality. I get that. But these also be people who claim to be decent folk. So I'm embarrassed for them too. These be people who claim to be a good guy, a good lady, a philanthropist, who are sensitive. No, they're not. No, the fuck. No, they're interested in a persona and an image and keeping their damn jobs. They're not. I remember when I worked for Cameron Hill, I forgot the other name we went by because we kind of changed it up. But, I was privy to see all the various different workers that came through there. Okay. I had a friend that I had went to church with that she came in on. I told her about it and she worked there for a while. Okay. And I think that's when I went into more of administration side of it versus case management. Because I think I started off as case management. But let me tell you what I know and what I got to witness. This is a nonprofit agency that catered to the foster care population when aging from 17 and a half to if I'm not mistaken, 21. And there was various programs and things that were available to them that our company was basically funded and hired to basically assist finding them placement, housing, sometimes transportation, helping them with applications, doctor's appointments, like you name it. There was funding given in order to assist this population, okay? Get their IDs, because sometimes they need assistance with getting IDs, you know, social security cards, birth certificates, and all those things. They get ready to age out. But the point that I'm making, I saw different style of workers over the years. I worked, I think, for a few years. There was obvious rules and regulations that had to be in place, policy, rules and regulations that had to be in place to keep streamlined. You have to do it or else you'll blow through everything if you don't. So it serves. But then you have the issue of payroll for the staff, from owner, director, and all employees. That's a factor because that's where the money is coming from. Okay. Now, and all other incidentals to run a business. Okay. But in terms of the program itself and the funding and how it's being used to help them directly, okay, to help them directly, I saw rules bent in some cases because, well, the situation was just not clean cut. It wasn't clean cut. It wasn't streamlined. It wasn't orthodox, but it warranted attention. Attention to a situation needed to be had. And policy had to be bypassed if they were going to serve that particular, we used to call them young adults. That's how we, young adult, YA, young adult. I also seen situations where it's like, if they didn't really like the young adult, or the young adult was whatever, like I've watched it. I'm very observant. Because it's always at the judgment of the one who has the power to do something. It's always that. So I've seen situations where it seemed like some got more leniency, they got more assistance than others. Okay. Why am I even sharing any of this? How does it relate to me and my son and what we're dealing with? Well, because I'm calling out programming. They get contacted by people and then they're told to just spin the script. They think I don't know that, but I do. It's also to get me in this energy of frustration. Give them false hope and take it away. And then run the script, the program, and then coerce their hand. They can forget it. They can kiss my black ass. They can kiss it and kiss it good. And kiss my black ass. But this is the entrapment program. Destabilize. We'll somehow make it through this. We always do. But the sad part about it is this is not a life. This is also why I'm not dealing with certain folks, because I don't want to deal with people who are okay with what me and my son has dealt with. If anybody is okay with that, can sleep good at night, and do nothing, then they need to not do nothing around me and my son. They need to not. I can't be okay with people who sit back and are okay with this. He ain't fucked somebody's raggedy woman and raggedy man somewhere. He ain't harassed somebody's retarded ass. You know what I'm saying? He ain't done nothing to nobody. I haven't either, but I'm leaning strong on his side because he's not a content creator. He, you get hatred for being an advocate. It's a part of it. When you somebody that's going to expose corruption and blow the water on some shit just as a natural byproduct, you gain enemies. People who have been used to exploiting folks like my son, I can see why I'm someone that they loathe entirely. But he hasn't. It's sickening. It's sickening at the fake help that they're offering his population. Or let me rephrase it. The limited, overly controlled, restrained help that does not serve them, that puts them in harm's way and keeps them away from the one constant and stability that they've ever had in the name of program. And then not sharing all, because they don't tell you, they don't share. I found that out in Nevada, that they don't share all of the possible options. It's like it's a cherry picking. They'll reveal certain things as they see fit. I learned that in Nevada. That's how I found out that they can place the consumer in their own apartment based on their income. That's where I found that out. And that they could, hire somebody to come in and assist them, which could very well be me. Yep, I found that out in Nevada. Is it something that they offered standard? I was told even then, no. The only problem is you just it's if you're lucky enough to catch when they have properties or something like that that's available so that they can put them in their own unit. That's the only thing. You just got to luck up. Because if you can, then they could do it. If not, then it's kind of like, oh, well, they don't just have random property. They have certain properties that they invest in, similar to transitional living types of situations. We are survivors of domestic violence and surviving escaping a cult. And the last thing that you want to do to such a client is put them in another unfamiliar situation, stripped of any comforts and familiarity that they had. That's the last thing on earth that you want to do. So it lets me know they don't give two flying fucks about my son. Period. The end. They don't. They want to look good on paper like they care. They don't give no two flying fucks about him. He survived a cult. He's a target of a cult. You want to go stick him in some weird ass motherfucking place? A bunch of strangers that may be just as loopy as fuck. And if you ain't there 24/7, you don't know what the fuck they doing to them. And I, as his mother, I'm supposed to be careful. I'm supposed to be comfortable with that. I'm supposed to be okay. Sometimes being put off the street. Some people are going to say, well, they're off the street. Sometimes it's worse. And we're living examples of that. Because sometimes people are abusing you behind closed doors. Wake up, America.